Welcome to I'm Your Fitness. My name is Dwayne and I'm your host. Today I've got ex-Springbok fly-half and SA rugby legend Butch James on the show. We also have his business partner and good friend Peter Cameron. We're going to be speaking about Cameron James, their new property business, a little bit about rugby as well, life during and after. We're going to try to get as many funny stories out the boys as possible. This will be an entertaining podcast. Sit back, relax and get involved.
Never got in because no one told me that, so it was easy to get into sports science. But then to make bio, they only took the top 15 of 300. So we had an intake of 300 for sports science, and then you would go top 15. So I never even applied in Stellenbosch because my marks, I only found that out in my second year. That was after I jawed the first 2 years away, and now you're going, oh, what chance have I got?
Yeah.
At that stage, I was applying for the military. I thought, here we go, son, I've got a life career path change. I'm looking at jobs on yachts and ships and all that.
Yeah.
Then I found out one of my mates who was getting worse marks than me got accepted here at Zululand University. I didn't even knew about this university.
Justin Birch also went there.
And I applied there with my B's or C's, you know. I can't remember the exact thing. They phoned me this was like in November. I left it right till the end of my third year. And they're like, come, we've got a spot for you. So I landed up here and it was fantastic. We had Prof. Kutsia, he's like one of the founders of Bio. We had Dr. Grace, she's still a legend in the industry. And it became like a really good university for biokinetics, funnily enough. Yeah. And the reason I think was because there's loads of guys who are practical, but not your book smart people. Because the problem with the industry is they took the cleverest people that have no practical sense. Yeah. So they don't gym themselves, they're not sports people, and then you put them in an environment and they've never been injured themselves. So they don't know the psychology behind it or how it feels to tear a hamstring or do this, and we just excelled at things because of that reason. So, it was interesting. But you could have done it. But I mean, look what's happened since then, man.
No, it was either,
maybe go back to it.
But
I'd rather not say these acts are, they're like it's danger man. The coach.
Coach is danger. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to now.
So basically, Butch and I started a company a couple of years ago, Cameron James. We've got two awesome partners, guys that are a bit older than us, more experienced, that basically backed us and invested us and given us the opportunity to, we've got a bit of a vision of how we want to do property and real estate, and so that it's different to how other guys are doing it. So we needed two standard grade acts, we needed two guys who could count behind the scenes to kind of help us get over the line. And that's been great for us. So we've opening up offices. So through COVID, we're expanding, which might be crazy, but we're bullish. And we've now opened up a normal residential office, and got some good people there. And then we're still doing our estates, where we on site on the estates. People come to us. We put our teams on there. We help them together to conceptualize the estate from almost like a grassroots level. And bring the vision to life. And it's like playing Monopoly. That's my kick and what I got out of this. So, Butchie actually got me a job in property when I was younger. Came back from overseas, a little bit lost, a little bit off the rails. Didn't know what to do.
You went from college straight overseas, gap year?
No, so I played at Rovers a little bit, and then I went to varsity for a couple of years.
What position did you play?
Scrum half.
Were you guys together? So you were scrum, you fly?
Yeah, so I've floated on his coattails the whole way, but I always used to tell people that I made him.
Yeah. Maybe you did.
But what also, he made me look good, because if I think he had such good skills, if I did a bad pass, he'd make it look like a good pass.
So it was every pass.
And then, so then I came back here and we actually had an Elan launch. And I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I had a couple of pounds from playing rugby overseas. And I said to Butchie, it was in fact a friend of ours, Trevor Boynton, was doing a speech in front of a couple of hundred people. I said, hey, that's what I want to do. And then Butch basically went to the Oak and said, my mate wants a job. Went there and I said, I don't have a CV or anything. And they said, no, you're Butch's best mate, you don't need a CV. And then I got a property. And I started out at Sabiti, moved to Brito.
Just like that?
Kind of, hit some luck. Got into sales, some good timing, and then grew from there. And then when Butch finished playing rugby and he was working at Super Sports, for me it was just obviously he had a lot of value from a PR point of view, and people love him. He's like that. He's got likability, and so they kind of drawn to him, and it's helped our business big time. Open doors for us.
Yeah.
So now the 9-10 combination's back.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's so awesome that you guys have come from school, best mates, and all the way through.
Yeah, and it's actually from junior school. I mean, you mentioned college. We met when we were 10 years old at Merkiston. So I'd come from Cape Town actually, and started at Merkiston in Standard 3.
Boarding as well.
No, I was a day boy, and so was Pete. We both lived in Maritzburg. So I came from Cape Town. The only guy I knew in the school was my cousin, and so I used to cruise around with him and saw the oaks playing cricket at break. There's one skinny oak there with the biggest ears you've ever seen in your life. They've shrunk now, but they definitely haven't grown at all. They were massive, and he was just calling the shots. I mean, the skinniest, smallest guy on the whole field, the biggest mouth, shouting the odds. And I still remember this guy, Neil Spooner. He was 1 year below us, but every day he begged to play in our cricket game. Or eventually, I also got into the like cool guys cricket game at break, and called Neil. He used to beg to play every single break, but Pete was in charge, and he said, "No, you can be the umpire." This poor guy was so chuffed just to be involved there.
Yeah, but he ended up being one of our good mates anyway.
Perfect scrum off, eh?
Yeah. No, but it was, it's such a blessing, and I was actually talking about it this weekend. The guys were talking about the World Cup, and they were saying how the 1995 Cup meant the most to them. So our dream from growing up was to play for the Springboks, but which he always had, he always had something. And I remember in under 10, we played against Cornwallis or something. I think your mum was in the car. And I said, my dad was didn't play wasn't a great sportsman or anything. And when we were under 10, my dad said, "Hey, your mate Butch is going to play for the Springboks."
Amazing, huh?
And since he always had something extra, when they say like that guy's got time, he always had that.
Yeah.
And then, playing together, and then it was just being a draw, and then a lot of it, and then as soon as we finished school, we played first year Rovers at the 21 together, and then Butchie his talent came through, and he immediately played for the Sharks. I went overseas and played some, I would call it like semi-pro rugby. They just give you some house keys and a car keys and a little bit of loot. But with the exchange rate, it worked nicely.
You're probably getting paid more than Butch.
Probably.
Yeah. But it was just rugby was always like a big part of it. But then when we won the 2007 World Cup, my favourite moment ever was we won, and I was with all my mates at some meeting at a big party. And I was walking into I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now, walking into what the Shakers at the time, and this phoned me from the change rooms.
No ways.
And then I just hit the tears, and then I sat there, and I got barely cried. No, it was the most awesome thing, because even though I didn't achieve my thing, the things that we went through, he bloody did it.
Yeah, but you did it for all of us. Like, I remember the 2007. It was emotional. I was in Stellenbosch. We literally closed the streets down. Cars could not move. It was just like people were rocking on cars. It felt like you had won in life. It didn't feel like just winning the World Cup. I mean,
I think all your worries just disappear. I mean, we've all felt it 95 as well, and then again last year. It was just incredible when the Ajax won last year. So it's definitely something, especially in South Africa. I mean, sport just helps us all get along and get going and get on with life. Life's pretty tough at the moment, and it's actually a pity that sport isn't taking place still, because that will be a lot of people's out, is to go to the stadium, watch the guys play, and forget about their problems that they have Monday to Friday. So sport has a huge amount of power to change the world, and we've seen it here in South Africa almost every weekend.
Yeah. It brings a country together.
Big time.
I think it's an important thing. So let's go on to that rugby. I was chatting to Jimmy the other day. He's a sports and conditioning guy for the Sharks.
Yeah.
And we're chatting about his COVID protocol and how he can get this all, and put into a place where we can actually play. and it looks like we'll be able to play, but only much later in the year. I mean, what do you know? When do you think we could be getting back into Super Rugby or even our own version of it?
Yeah, I've actually haven't heard much. Hasn't been too much communicated, but I'm sure they'll have sort of a Curry Cup later on in the year. But it's going to be different. I mean, I was saying now how people get a little bit of an out going to the stadium, watching the game, and also as a player, it's lovely to play with a nice packed stadium and your supporters there. I mean, that's one of the benefits of playing at home, is having your home ground advantage with your home crowd there shouting for you. So I don't think there's going to be a crowd. I think they're going to maybe have a competition, Curry Cup, at the end of the year, but will there be a crowd? I'm not sure. And I don't know. I think it will change the way the whole game's played. You know, I think watching the New Zealand guys playing now in their sort of their Super Rugby competition that they've created themselves, it's been outstanding. You know, the crowds have been full. I think you can see how hungry they were to go back and watch the game. I mean, they haven't had crowds like that for years. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe next year when we do have crowds, we will eventually get those packed stadiums again that we've been desperate to see.
Yeah.
So Tira and I was with Tira and Tembu, who's the Sharks guy. So we're doing almost Butchie's way of giving back, and so we're going to have a couple of the Sharks guys come on as interns, and Tira and Tembu was one of them, one of your DHS mates, Sanele. So, and then hopefully a couple of others along the way. But I was with Tira last week Friday, and he said they started to train in August, back at training. And then there's going to be some kind of Super Rugby, some kind of Curry Cup, and then they're going to be a championship, but I think everybody's going to fly to New Zealand or Australia, and they're just going to play over a few weeks there.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. It seemed like that the way Jimmy was explaining it to me. He was like, we will have Super Rugby, but it'll be like a finished off process. Yeah. So we only play, obviously, our local teams. It'll just be the derbies over here, which will still be cool.
Yeah, I think any rugby at this stage will be good. I think everyone's desperate.
Tell us about your tackles. Like, I need to get into this. I've been, poised to ask the question, but you used to freak me out every time you come onto the field. I'd be like, especially when it was an important thing, I was like, please, we can't get a card, yellow card, red card, Butch James coming over the shoulder. Where did you learn this tackle?
Yeah, I think it just developed, and I think 2001 was probably the year that it all took off and exploded. I mean, like you, wherever I go, any interview I do, whoever I talk to, the first thing that comes up is my tackling. So,
because it literally, like, we would watch and we'd be like, fuck, please, just.
Yeah, I mean, the whole shoulder thing was all 2001, and then later on in my career, it probably was the height of my tackles. I think that probably came from my agility and my ability to move and change direction quickly, which wasn't very good.
Do you think Will Ferrell copied your technique?
No, not Will Ferrell, because no, definitely not. No one would try and copy it, but I say it on every interview. I mean, at every game there must be 100 photographers at the game, and they get every second of the game. I'm still waiting for someone to show me a photo of me making a shoulder charge.
I watched some last night. Not shoulder charges, but there was some. Go onto YouTube.
No, I've seen those are high tackles. Yeah, there are a lot of high tackles.
I was like, let me go and refresh my memory here.
No, a couple of high tackles and a couple of shoulder charging clean-outs, but that's I'm just targeting the forwards there. They're a bit bigger than me, so you got to use a bit of dirty tactics there.
I thought it would be strategy. I was like, for me, a small guy as well, I was like, how do you intimidate these guys? Okay, let's do one or two big tackles so that they know, don't run at me.
Yeah, you put in one, you don't have to make another 20 for the rest of the game.
Yeah, but you know what, the one thing that always frustrated me was that I think he could have played Springbok cricket if he didn't play Springbok rugby, because his dad was a Springbok soccer player, so his skills were good. And I think that what frustrated me was his little soft touches and Stephen Larkham little inside passes. Well, that was his major strength. Yeah. But because he would kill a oak with a tackle, everything became about this tackling thing. Yeah. And then the little soft touches and little things that he did, people overlooked at. And then, but also, I suppose it kind of put him on the map.
To be honest, we loved it. Like, as a fan, I loved your tackles because I was like, finally, a fluff that's not scared to come in and throw the shoulder. And in those days, we weren't as strict on the tackles.
No, big time. Nowadays, it's quite ridiculous, the laws now. But I think it was also a problem for me because I also enjoyed putting in a big tackle, but as a flower half, it's probably not your main job. You need to be out there guiding the ship, making all the big calls. So, especially when I was younger, I mean, all I was worried about was that next big tackle where it was the wrong way to go into a game as a flower half. You should be worrying. If I was a flanker, I would probably have been the right attitude, but as a flower half, trying to pull the strings in a team, it was the right thing. And I only sort of realized that later on in my career, probably 2006-ish, which was way too late. I mean, you look at a guy like Andre Pollard now, who when he was 18 at high school, was pulling the strings for a under 20 team to win the championship. So, I mean, he's got a really mature head on his shoulders, which I didn't have as a youngster. It took me a while to realize exactly what my job was and what I needed to do in our team to make sure that we won. It's no good. I think a big tackle in any team lifts the spirits and does lift the team for sure. But rather try to get one of your flankers to do that, or now and then in a game you're definitely going to get the opportunity to smash one guy. So just wait for it. Don't go looking for it like a headless chicken. Like I used to do, especially when I was 22, 23.
Yeah, but also the flankers that played in his team, they would say that they didn't worry about that 10 channel. So instead of running and covering behind Butch, they knew that no one's going to run there, so they could actually go further across. So it actually helped our defense a little bit because they knew that no one's going to go playing there because they might get killed.
It's a huge advantage knowing that your 10 can tackle. I remember as well, our whole game plan would be to wrap around the scrum, come through and support the 10 channel. You have to because they're going to send their big guys running through the 10. So. It was, and I know what you mean with the motivational side of things. Because massive. If you see your fluff putting a big hit as a forward or flanker, you like, hey, I got to up my game.
It didn't help having mates like us because after the game we'd be like, yes, that was the biggest situation, and we loved it. I mean, but yeah, as I said before, I mean, I think that took the spotlight off some of his major skills, which were the little soft touches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's expected really of the fly half, and you have those skills. So to have the ability to tackle is like something we hadn't seen for a long time. We were watching the rugby and we didn't have a fly half that tackled like you or that had that presence, And I think that's also why they try to throw you in centre for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I think, for me, probably the best fly half to play has been Henry Honeyball, and for that exact reason, he wasn't scared. He made his tackles and also played nice and flat at the game line where it's not easy doing that because you do have those big flankers and forwards trying to hunt you down and put in that big tackle for their team. But I mean, we've spoken about defense, but a lot of teams actually base their whole game on defense, and exactly that. When someone puts in a good defense, or you go 5-10 minutes of defending and not letting the other team score any points, it lifts their morale. And so actually against those sort of teams, every time you get the ball, you want to kick it and give it away, let them attack because their strength and they get their energy from defending. So it's quite strange how the game has changed quite a lot. How some teams like to attack and some would rather be defending.
Yeah, it's amazing how it's evolved.
Yeah.
Back at school, we'd watch every day, and even going into varsity, you at the time. So you're watching every game, not just South Africa or the Sharks, it's every game that's played, whether it's overseas or anywhere else, and you'll know every player's stats and who's up and coming and going, but then, you get into reality, the real world, and you may be catching one game every other week.
Yeah.
And you see slowly but surely how the game evolves at a rapid pace, and you watch it like 2 years later, you're watching a game and you're like, but was it completely different? Even the tactics, the whole methodology of the game really is just constantly changed.
Yeah, and you would expect that the professionalism that they've got now and how committed the players are to come in. It's their job now, so they're probably in there 8 to 5 most days. So you can only imagine how it's going to get even more technical and grow even more.
It's great though. It's great.
It is
good sport.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think this last World Cup was outstanding. I loved it. And I think gone are those days when a team like Japan, I know they were hosts and had that huge support behind them, but they were outstanding and probably, if not the best team to watch.
They were.
So
I watched that game live, the Japan South Africa, where they beat us in 2015.
I
was at the stadium.
That was depressing.
No, it must be hectic.
Look, it was depressing, but it was also like one of those things, you were there, you didn't give up hope, you were actually looking at the Japanese oaks so elated, and you're like, well done.
That was great for me.
It was just like rugby's changed now, but you were bummed.
There's
I couldn't take it away. I was like, I watched us lose to Argentina for the first time here at home.
Durban.
In Durban, and then that game, I was like, I don't think I'm good luck.
You mustn't go watch any games.
Yeah. So tell us, let's go back into property a little bit. How do we make money in property? So let's go, like, average oak. Take me, for example. What would you say? Is there money to be made in property? Do you look at investing? Do you buy your own home? Talk a little bit about the property side of things, especially here on the North Coast. I mean, it looks like a good investment place. Like, from an outsider looking into an industry, you think, hey, it's going to boom. And I've been here since 2012 now, and you just keep seeing the prices go up and up and up, and you think, hey, the bubble would burst somewhere, but it hasn't. Okay, take COVID out the situation now, because things are selling pretty cheap now. But, other than that, it looks like it's still a good place to invest.
Yeah, so for me, it's just doing you stuck anything, it's do your homework. And I found that, so I've been doing it for 16 years. So we started out at some BT, land was 400 grand. If you could have held on to that, everybody goes, if I could have just held on, and now that same land is going for 2.5 million. So for me, the easiest way to make money is to find a piece of ground where you don't have no tenants, you don't have to worry about them breaking stuff or doing it. You find some land right in the beginning of a development, wait for them to put the roads and the infrastructure in, and then you just got to get your timing right. And it's normally around the time when they do the clubhouse, or there's something awesome happens on the estate, or they put the fence up. That's when the prices, and if you can get your timing right on that, you can make good money doing that. Alternatively is getting into the rental game and buying apartments. I'll just suggest just starting. Buy one thing that you can afford that's not going to hurt you. See how that goes, and then grow from there. And then find someone that you can trust. So for me, I don't move without like having a lawyer close by to check your agreements. I think people buy blind. The first question I'd ask if you're buying into an estate is this developer in the red or that? And nobody asks those questions. It's an important question. Checking out the developer's track record, seeing what they've done, and that you can base a decision on that. But to make bucks, you make your money when you buy. So we've got a partner, Darren Owen, who's pretty savvy, let's just say, and he's taught us a lot over the last few years. And put in that offer, don't be cheeky. It's got to be a fair offer, but find amongst all this chaos, there's been massive opportunity, and I think there's been more sales being done over the last month than the previous 4 months of the year.
I've heard that
since even before COVID.
Well, the interest rates are good.
Yeah, so money's never been as cheap as it is now. But just get in the game. I mean, I think that's the point. And some people have another philosophy where they would say, rather just go and rent and then invest in commercial property. So there's lots of ways to go about it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a set formula. I mean, if there was, myself and Pete would be pretty wealthy, but there's no set formula. Like Pete says, you've got to do your homework. If you're going to buy to rent, make sure you're buying at the right price, and you can put in a small deposit that your rent will cover your bond, and then the property's value can grow, and maybe in 5-10 years time you can sell it again at a profit. So there's lots of different ways. Or you can, like Pete says, you find a piece of land, you build on it, you stay there for 2 years, you sell it again as your primary residence, you get that capital growth. You get that 2 million rand buffer, I think it is, Pete, where you don't pay the capital gains. But then you've got to have an understanding wife that doesn't mind moving every 2-3 years, and where you start your next project, and you can maybe, if you're lucky enough, make another 2 million rand there, you move to the next one, and you can keep jumping around like that. So there are lots of ways to skin a cat, but there's no set one that's written down that if you do this, it's going to work. So it's easy in hindsight. I mean, like Pete says, I mean, we were both there at Sabiti when it first started off, and now it's such a beautiful and successful estate that we probably both wish that we knew what we knew now. We would have probably bought the whole thing, So there's nothing set in stone that is a winning formula, but I think Pete's 100% do your homework and also surround yourself with good people that are there to help you, not to make themselves a buck before you do.
Yeah, get them and get it, and get a property mentor. Get someone who's gone through the road, because estate agents and that are brilliant. They know their stuff, but for me, it's like, if I play tennis against Butchie, I'm going to be an average tennis player. Playing against Roger Federer, I'm going to get better at tennis. Get a property mentor, somebody who's actually made money in property, and lean on them and say, well, how did you do it? And then you can learn a lot more that way than just by getting somebody that just wants to sell you something. So that's why we didn't go the traditional route with an agency. We're reinventing the wheel. I don't think property is going to ever be the same. People are no longer real estate agents have had a kind of like a bad name over the years, whereas now it's changing. We handpick our guys, so we're going to have, and I think what's going to happen now is that there's going to be a lot of opportunity. Right now, there's a lot of opportunity. I think the last month there's been the most, but over the next month there's going to be massive opportunities where there are going to be deals on the table, and I think a lot of people with cash are just going to snap it up.
Yeah.
Now,
when you say deals, that's like properties that already exist.
20-30% off. So yeah, I think they have the whole bank relief ends at the end of the month, and then people have to now come pay their bonds back, and it's not nice to prey on that. It's not ideal, but people with cash are going to take advantage of those situations, and they're going to be snapping it up.
What kind of opportunities are you guys looking forward to?
So we're going into a few new estates. So I've been selling Rolls Royces my whole life, and it kind of feels like you take the top tier, the top 5% of the country, come buy another beach cottage in Bellito for $5 million, come buy another one. Eventually, you get like a little bit of a sick taste in your mouth. So we're getting involved in a project called Palm View, which is 500 to $1 million. What I love about it is a South African product. It's going to be the first one, I think, first estate that's inclusive, because there's going to be a lot of people that can afford 500 grand, but it's going to have the same security as the likes of Breckenwood, Dunkirk, and so on. And then retirement from 750,000 to 1.5 million, from 1 to 2 bar. There are 5,500 of them. And we've kind of been a great developer behind it with a heart for the country. And I think that's what's important. So that's going to be different. So we're getting involved in some of the more affordable stuff. And then the other estates, like an Ilaleni, when I was sitting at home, I live on a golf course, but sitting at home there, all I wanted was a big plot of land. I wanted my own veggies. I wanted to be sustainable, off the grid. Now they're launching an estate, a living lifestyle estate, where you can buy big plots, and you, at the end of like the month, you go to like your own orchard, and they'll give you honey, coffee, all organic. And that's the way I think. That's how I want to live now. Like that's what I've decided. That's what lockdown taught me. I want big space.
Yeah. And
I don't think I'm personally going to go garden and do put the veggies in there. But I like the idea. I like the idea of going with my kids. Getting on the back of a tractor, living a farm life in Bellito, and then going there and getting my honey, my coffee, and all my veggies. And you know where it's come from. It isn't like that perfect Willie's orange that's been genetically modified. There's something special about we've got a farm in Crichton. Picking an orange off a tree yourself and peeling it and biting into it is way different to getting one from the local shop. And I think we all are going, health has become a big thing. You guys are the health experts here at IMF, but what we're putting into our bodies, I think there's a lot of poison and there's a lot of crap that's going in. And living these organic lifestyles is going to be huge. I think it's the way of the future. Definitely. So, that, and then, all the other estates we're involved in, there's some new stuff coming up that I can't really talk about right now. And then we've got a project that Butch is running up in Belize, high end, on the top of the hill there in Sabaya.
It's my favorite place on this north coast.
Lovely, yeah.
I used to live in Umschleuti, so I'd run up there all the time and literally climb that little beacon.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, this would be the spot.
So when that's done, I can tell you that's going to be one of the best. That'll be unbelievable. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, and the views are cracker. We need to make a few more sales before we can live there ourselves. So basically, part of having Butchie in our team and he's as director is, the rugby guys, they play rugby and they hit this high. And then after rugby, especially in the past, the guys come down with a bit of a bang, and it's something that, it's a lot of guys have learned some lessons. And what we wanted to do was, get the guys while they're playing rugby, get them into our program, train them up on property. We partner with Prop Academy, pay for their studies, get them selling. So while they're still playing rugby, they can learn property, do their stuff. It's not intense. It's not like doing a little bit 100%, and start building a passive income. And going to a bar and somebody says, listen, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Oh, geez, we'll go speak to Tara. Tara's involved in property with Cameron James, as well as now with the Sharks coming through. It's a case of the new guys that are coming. We're hoping that partner with them in some way, shape, or form. We're still kind of figuring it out. But the new guys come and they say, well, guys, we've got a new guy, Ben Cock, as an example, coming to the Sharks. Can you guys please find them a place to stay? But the intern thing is mainly to get the guys selling and to get focused, so that when they leave rugby, they've got something behind them, and hopefully they stay with us. But if they don't, they've at least built up this passive income. We can introduce them to the developers. I mean, we've done projects before when Simbiti launched, where it was brand ambassadors, which was great on paper, but because the guys didn't study it, when their brand ambassadorship was over, they left. And then they got a little bit of benefit, but now so I think we've kind of learned from that. So like Butchie's had to study property from an intern the whole way through, and now he knows what he's talking about, and we want the same thing for these younger guys, and obviously there's going to be a PR benefit for us, but we really just want to unlock the people. We want to unlock them, and when they finish this rugby thing, there's no bump. They can just kind of ease into something else.
Are you guys focusing specifically on rugby?
For now, yeah, that's our...
Yeah, for now, I mean, but we're open for anyone that's keen to come and learn and spend a day, a month with us, or whatever it may be. And also, I think also with the sportsmen, I think while you're still playing, I mean, to invest in property is a great idea. You're earning decent money and they've got that spare cash around it, even to buy your own, if you're going to live in Durban, or even if you're not, you always will be able to sell it one day and move to wherever you want to. But to not have that bond to pay off when you finish playing rugby and earning, well, hopefully for them they can keep their earning a similar salary, but more often than not, you're not. And then if you speak to anyone nowadays, you can ask them what's your biggest expense every month. It's definitely going to be their bond, So to maybe have your bond paid off by the time you finish rugby, or to have 3, 4, 5 investment properties where you're getting an income from them to help support your next job's income, to sort of level out the same salary. So those sort of little bits of advice that we'd like to share with them. I mean, those are the sort of things that I wish I had when I was playing. So that's what we're going to try to do. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be no benefit for us in that if Tara comes along and says, I'm looking at this house here, and we go along and say, it's a lovely home, but it's just in the wrong area. Your growth's not going to be great. And if you're buying it to live there, maybe because you love the home, then go for it. But as an investment, it's no good, or whatever the advice might be, just to try share a bit of knowledge. Pete's been in the game for nearly 20 years, so got a lot of knowledge to share and to share with. And like Pete said, hopefully we get a bit of PR out of it, or whatever might come of it. But we're not looking to make a buck out of the guys or anything like that. We just want to try help the guys.
That's awesome. I can imagine, like, as a professional sports person, that you're not even thinking about after.
No, I mean, while you're playing, especially as a youngster, I mean, once you probably hit 30, then the panic sort of starts coming along. But until then,
people give you advice? Did people tell you, hey, or did you think about what you were going to do after?
We always had the older players. Like, I'll never forget, Mark Andrews always used to tell us, because we always used to go to functions as a team, and it used to be the worst thing ever because you didn't really want to be there. And he used to say, no, guys, because we always used to stand in a corner chatting amongst ourselves. And
no girls in the picture either.
No, then his advice would always be, go and mingle, make connections, and connect a bit. And but that only comes from being wiser and being an older guy like Mark Andrews was when we started. So yeah, I was the same. when I was playing, I thought that I was never ever going to stop playing rugby. It was going to last forever. So until, like I said, you hit 30 and then the panic starts hitting and you're not too sure what you're going to do. I hadn't studied anything. So I had no idea what sort of career path to go into. It took me, I think, 4 or 5 years before Pete, we started our Cameron James little thing. So it took a bit of time to find exactly what I wanted to do. I jumped around from 1 or 2 things, and eventually I settled. I always wanted to actually do property, but never had the guts and balls to actually take the plunge and go for it. So it was only when Pete came along with the idea that really got me thinking, and then we took the plunge. So it's a tough transition from the playing days to what they say the big bad world is. But I think any advice you can give to the youngsters now as an ex-player, I mean, if you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So
I think it's
we'd
got a
love
lot
to share
better.
that. I think guys are
That's
key.
what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Because surely now they're starting to, like, I know the Sharks Academy came about and they're starting to teach, you have, I think what do? You do a diploma or
Yeah, you have to study, but I don't know how many guys used to pass. I mean, there wasn't. I think that's why the Varsity Cup's pretty good, because I think you can only play the next year if you passed the previous year, and they've got a lot of rules in place like that, which I think is great. It forces the guys to actually hit the books and get that diploma behind it. So like I said, you can take the horse to water, but is he going to drink? Who knows? But that definitely has changed. A lot of them are doing a lot of things on the side and starting their businesses already. And a lot of guys have gotten into property. I know, just off my top of my head, Ryan Kankowski, I think he doesn't do too much nowadays because he really invested well and had some good guys guiding him. And then I think Warren Whiteley as well, a bright guy, sorted out his whole property portfolio and has set it up nicely. And I think when the time comes to hang up the boots, there won't be too much panic amongst those guys.
I think it's an incredible opportunity for rugby players or sports people in general. Property, not that it's an easy game, but if you look at your time frame, I mean, you had an exceptionally long career as a rugby player, a fly half specifically, if you look at it. And I mean, if you take that time frame and someone told you from when you left college, hey, start putting your money here or this amount of money every month, imagine the portfolio you could have.
Yeah.
And it's guys like you who's going to change that for the new players coming through the ranks and put like little structures in place for them and say, come, it's just going to take this amount. Because if someone tells you and you think about it, it's an easy concept to be able to be like, hey, it's a no-brainer. I can do this and I should do this.
Yeah. Well, when I was playing, I wasn't a big spender with my money. I was quite stingy with it, and I invested a lot into property. But it was like red or black for me. I was gambling. I wasn't getting advice from anyone. I would see something and think, oh, I quite fancy that, or
sometimes it was red and black at the casino.
Yeah. I lost a few houses there. But I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit I've lost some money on 1 or 2 properties, but on most of them I've made a lot of money. So I mean, but like I say, I wasn't getting good advice and hadn't gone to someone to seek that advice and ask them what they thought. I just thought I could do it by myself, which it's turned out fine, but it could have been much better, like you say. So
that mentorship thing is the biggest key.
Crucial.
So I mean, even though I've been doing this for a long time, I only really found my mentor 3 or 4 years ago, and it's changed everything for me. Like the way that you pay tax, the thought process of it all, earning a passive income. I mean, we just you can either wing it or you can actually settle down and get that right advice. So I think what we're trying to do is and we're trying to mentor these guys, but we've also got mentors ourselves that can give them even more knowledge. So it's about exactly what you were saying. If you could get a guy like a Sandele who's 21, who's going to hopefully be a great book, if we can get him to start thinking along those lines now, instead of buying, because what amazed me is like, we moved into a dig when we were 18, and there was this red-headed guy called John Smith. That's how we met. And before he was a Springbok, was always a leader, was always had that aura about him anyway. But those kinds of, I've watched the guys over the years living in the rugby digs, they wouldn't get 1 jet ski, they would get 2. and they wouldn't do, and they'd get a sponsored car, and then they'd go buy a car as well. And I think and that's crazy. I think if they can be taught that now, and I believe Eddie Coetzee is doing a cracker job there, making all the guys have to study. He's making sure that there are these mentorship programs and things that are happening. So just from a property side, we want to just help. And it's come out of Butch's heart wanting to give back. And obviously we're big rugby fans as well. So it helps, something that we're passionate about.
Brilliant. Let's quickly talk a bit more rugby. I'm going to go back memory lane for you, I suppose. What do you think, what's one of your hardest games, or like a memorable game that you've been like, that was a hard game?
Yeah, so I think every test match is tough. I think not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I think it's a lot of pressure, of course, especially for a country like South Africa, New Zealand, where it's probably your top sport in the country. I think especially for the New Zealand guys. I mean, if the All Blacks lose, it's like they've had World War II all over again. It's not nice for the New Zealanders when they lose. And they also, I mean, you walk around in New Zealand, I mean, every single person on the street there knows their rugby and they live for rugby over there. And I think we're pretty similar here in South Africa. When the Springboks play badly, the team will certainly know about it. So there's a lot of pressure on you to play a test match. I think it's probably always a tough game, no matter, even when you've had a good game, there's going to be someone who's thought you've had a bad one. But I think the physical side is probably why we played it, and it was actually quite nice waking up a bit stiff and sore the next day because you knew that you had a nice decent game and a good run around. So physically it was never a problem, but just mentally and emotionally, especially here in South Africa, the public can be pretty tough sometimes. So no one ever goes out there to try to play badly, So but I understand it. I mean, I'm a fan now, and I get upset when the guys don't win, especially against the All Blacks. But no one goes out there to play badly and have a bad game. So it's pretty tough on the players sometimes, especially social media nowadays. It's crazy. I mean, they've all got access to the guys and can let them know exactly how they feel. Yeah.
The Springbok New Zealand games for us watching was like a special thing. We'd start the build up on Monday already. Everyone had a plan. And it always seemed like the hardest games. And the ones we managed to win were just like an extra special. Yeah. That was a special weekend for all South Africans.
Yeah, I think for every Springbok, I think that's probably the ultimate game, is to play and beat the All Blacks. And especially to do that in New Zealand. So it doesn't happen often. But and I think we, like you say, it builds up from Monday, and we always get that, especially when we know we've got a good team, that expectation starts on Monday. So then if it doesn't go well on Saturday, that little letdown is even worse when you're actually thinking, geez, we've got a good chance here.
I remember in the 2007 when we just lost to the Bulls, in that last movement of the game with that Havana thing. I mean, we didn't even go out that Saturday night. We went out on the Sunday because the Oaks were so drained, and also you want the crowds mocking like the players because they used to take abuse. So some of the times these guys would walk around. I felt like I was Butch's wife holding his handbag, and people want their signatures. And but they were talking about mental toughness. Butchie's done the epic a few times, and it's apparently really hard. But because of all the pressure that he's done from rugby over the years, when I said to him, "How was it?" He goes, "I wasn't too bad, And then you speak to another guy, and he'll say, "It's the most hectic thing I've ever done in my life." So I think as pro sportsmen being at that level, you get mentally strong, and I think that helps him. That's why he's become so good at property, is because he's gone through all those pressures of the World Cup. Doing a property deal, the pressure's nothing compared to that. So I think that's something that's very underrated, that these guys, they have all gone through. Their mental toughness is on another level.
Yeah, it must come at you from all angles,
Yeah.
Like it's the toughness of the actual game and your responsibility as a player, and then like holding the whole country's spirits on your hand. A fly-half must have been in an incredibly tough position.
Yeah, I mean, I learned something very late in my career. I think maybe my last year of playing. I think it was an unbelievable little bit of advice, but something that always used to affect the way I played was the fear of failure. So the fear of dropping a ball or missing the last tackle for the other team to win, or like not playing well. So I mean, that's the worst thing to do to go into a game, especially as fly half, because now as a fly half, I'm going to sort of try to stay out of the action because I'm too scared of making a mistake. Where that's the complete wrong attitude to have. You should have the fear of not giving your best. That should be your biggest fear, because it's quite easy to go out onto the rugby field and do your best. I mean, you could do that tomorrow. Go there, do your best. I missed the tackle, but at least I was there trying to make the tackle. I could have still been lying on the floor next to the ruck, hiding, thinking, I'm not going to get up too quickly because I might have to make a tackle just now. Rather get up, get in a position to make the tackle. 90% of the time, you're going to make it. But when you do miss it, it's not a mistake. I mean, everyone misses a tackle. Everyone drops the ball. The best teams in the world not drop a high ball and things like that. So, I mean, mistakes are going to happen. Everyone, the best player in the world, Bowden Barrett, makes mistakes. But to go out there and not give your best, you're letting your team down, you're letting your family down, everyone. And it's actually the most simplest thing to do. Go out onto the field, do your best. If you make a mistake, hey, at least you tried your best.
Yeah, could you come onto the field quite calm at a stage? Like, did you work it out that you could run off pretty relaxed? You knew what you had to do?
If I start a game, I'm normally pretty relaxed. I mean, the first 5-10 minutes might be right up there. But for me, for my worst times on the field, and when I probably did the silliest things, was when I sat on the bench. And it's probably just because I used to get so worked up. One bad call from the ref, I see one of their players doing something to our player. Then I'm sitting on the bench and I'm raring to go. I want to get on the field, and then again, like I mentioned to you earlier, I'm going to run around like a chicken with no head on.
Wanting to make impact.
Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't a very good bench player because I used to come on and I didn't really add that little injection of pace either. But I much prefer to start like everyone does, and you get into the game as soon as you can, and which was nice as a fly. If you're either taking the first kickoff, or once they've kicked you, you're probably going to touch the ball in the first 5 seconds. So it was pretty easy to get into the game, but sitting on the bench was tough.
Come, I need a funny story now. I know you guys have got some.
Who's watching this?
Age restricted.
Give us a funny rugby player, funny story. Give us a moment, and then you give us one with Butch as well.
Well, I'll tell you one of me and Pete first, and then while he's telling his, I'll think of a rugby one. But we obviously, when we were young at Mercuston, and weekends we used to spend at each other's house, but we only had one bicycle, so we used to ride from each other's houses on the one bicycle. I was on the one side on the one pedal, and Pete was on the other side. So it was quite funny seeing the two guys riding on a bicycle, one pedal each. But I don't know how we did it, but we managed to get that bike going.
Yeah, 100%. Two humble Maritzburg boys.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Comfy.
I mean, funny stories.
Funny, naughty. I can see you holding
back. I'm holding back big time.
I've got another one.
Come, pick on a pizza.
Another Belito local, Craig Harris. I mean, Craig was pretty naughty when we were at high school from about standard 7 on. I mean, myself and Pete we were straight down the line. Actually, it's hard to believe, but up until we met, we were always friends with Craig. But Craig came back into we got close again, like standard 7, 8, and Craig, he had been drinking already from like standard 3. But I remember the once we were going to youth. I think it was called youth. Yeah. So we had my house, and Pete and Craig are coming to stay the night, and we're going to all go. 3 of us going to go to youth together. So these guys arrive at my house, and it
was the first. But you had never had a proper party before.
No, I don't think I'd had one beer yet. But these guys arrive at my house, and they're walking down my bank to my house, and as they're walking, their bags are just jingling.
Dink.
I mean, I'm standing there with my mom to welcome these guys in. It was a bit embarrassing, and I don't know what's going on yet. And they said, "No, come, we must leave now. We're going to go down to the cricket fields first, and then we can go off to youth." I mean, it's not very.
I think it was a bottle of Sambuca and a bottle of peach schnapps.
Yeah.
Opened the gates, and then we went to the GHS school gala, and we went and spoke to some girls in the changing rooms or whatever. But one of my favourite stories was Butch used to live close to GHS, and when we were in post-matric, we used to hear the school bell ring, and then we used to get in the car and drive. And Butch used to have this trick where he would sit in the passenger seat, but drive the car like that.
Yeah.
And see the car, and then you'd pull up at the robot, and then people would see nobody driving in the car. And then, yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and then we also, same thing, we hear the school bell go, and then we used to go, and then Pete used to pull the window down and then offer the girls sweets. And say, no, your mom said we must give you a lift home, and that's what guidance to try to pick up the chicks. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. No, but we, like the thing is, we had a lot of fun, and but good fun. Some of it was a bit naughty. I remember standing being 21, 22. Like I said, I used to float in his coattails a lot. I'd stand up at the bar and I'd say, who wants to come for a jacuzzi party at Butch James's house? And you just see these girls going, me. So that was kind of naughty, the kind of things that we did. That jacuzzi was called the marriage breaker. I'm just glad we never had to clean it. But those after rugby matches and things like that, I remember once the Sharks played the Lions, and this wasn't when I nearly got killed. Good mates of ours, Dion Carstens, by mistake, one of Butch's sister-in-law had a tank top on, and he fell, and he by mistake pulled it down like that, and she screamed, and I turned around, and Willem Alberts was standing there, and I just grabbed him like this, and out of instinct. But if he had just gone, he would have killed me. And luckily, Jean de Villiers saw what happened from around the bar. He came and rescued me, and eventually said, "Hey, I saw what happened." And Dion was lying on the ground. So it was a time when I nearly got my pipes cleaned properly.
Yeah. Willem Alberts is the biggest unit.
No, and he was such a harmless guy. And he has this little rat oak, hey, what are you doing? But it was just perfect, the perfect bad timing. And then some of my funniest things were Butch and Craig Davidson. He was Butchie scrum off at the Sharks. He's an absolute legend. He was one
Where
of
is
my
he
favorite
now?
So he runs the Europa and the Lycia Mall.
Okay.
With his wife Mel. He's a proper legend. And they used to have this trick where they used to put toothpicks in their heads. And then it took off.
What do you mean toothpicks in your head? Poke the toothpick.
Yeah. You could actually get the record.
I could get a record, yeah.
Big time.
And then he also, so Butch's dad's he's always got jokes and funny things like that. So he used to teach us some jokes. But if you break a coaster, Butch's favorite thing was he'd put it on his nose and he'd turn around and say, who threw that? And then it worked well with the girls back in those days before we were married and had children. Let's just say it now.
Just clear that one up.
And then it'll calm down. Eh?
Yeah.
Amazing how many naughty oaks are from Belito. I found the same thing when I got here. I was like, yes, this is a nice bunch of people, yeah? Welcome to Zululand.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.
It's been awesome having you. Nice chat.
Fun.
Yeah, it has been fun. I look forward to the next conversation.